Welcome to the Six Files podcast. I am Squid. I'm playing the guest lead guard today, and I got to be honest here. I have no right hand. I can't shoot, but I'll play a little bit defense. To my left here is M. Dot, who I've seen play, can shoot the lights out and can back you down.
You damn right.
But unlike, like number 7 that plays for the New York Knicks, he doesn't care about the defensive end. Is that an honest assessment?
It's not so much as that for me. I'm just so fat now that I have to reserve myself. Because if I go hard defensively, then the offense is just completely out the window.
That's a wise man there.
So I conserve myself. I'll give it all on offensively. Defensively, I won't do a whole lot. But I'm trying to score. I'm trying to keep my team in it. You know what I mean? So Mel's an athlete. I mean, you should play on both sides of the ball if you're an athlete. I'm not. I've probably gained about 50 pounds the last
I like
4
that.
years.
You're an honest man.
Yeah.
And to my right is AB, otherwise known as the Filipino Mamba. And my assessment of him is, a hustle guy and a slashing type. Is that a fair assessment of your basketball game?
Yeah, I try to be a versatile guy. Try to play all positions. Team guy. I describe myself as like Kobe trying to play in the pop system. So at times I can be impulsive and a little bit reckless. I'm all about team, but there's certain moments that just get a little glitch and I have to pop a couple jumpers that are not in the flow of the offense. But for podcasts, I'm pretty good. I mean, for a podcast, I'm good. I take a lot of quality shots in the podcast triangle.
Nice, I like it. So let's start off with Phil Jackson and his assessment so far in his brief career as president of the New York Knicks. First of all, let's talk about, obviously, his big signing, Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
A success or failure right now?
Well, it doesn't look great now. Here's the one thing I don't like. Is the fact that they knew about the knee injury before they went ahead and gave him $124 million over 5 years. If you knew that, I feel like you probably could have held your ground a little bit more, maybe knock off another $10, $15 million on the overall price, maybe. Here's one thing that I do kind of like, and this is a big if, is if Carmelo can come back healthy and he stays healthy for the next 4 years of the contract. With the new CBA expected to go up $22 million after next year, and then another $12 million the following year. When guys are starting out at $30 million a year in year one and accelerating up to about 35, Melo's going to be in the 25, 26 range. So if he's healthy and performing, he might actually come out like a bargain. But the problem is we're hoping on something 3-4 years down the line. Right now, it doesn't look great, merely for the fact that they knew about the injury and still gave him $124 million to begin with.
AB, what do you think? What can we expect from Melo next year, coming off that injury?
It's safe to say at his age now, it's expected that he's going to have a decline. And I don't know how drastic. I'm not saying this guy's going to start scoring like 13 points a game or anything. But we can already see the durability issues probably kicking in. And it's natural for, power forward like him or wherever he plays, the 3 or the 4, the amount, and in terms of just the touches and the overall possession that he has of the ball, the years of just being on the boards, carrying teams at that level, it's natural you're going to see a decline, I think. As far as him being a franchise guy, for the Knicks right now, that's what he is. He's going to be the franchise guy. I'm not going to put him in the top 5 anymore, but he's still a fringe top 10 player in my mind. Carmelo Anthony's still one of the best explosive scorers the game has. It's just, can he do it now? With all the variables that are expected, and at his deteriorating age.
So just real quick, with a banged up knee, so let's try to handicap what he could do. With a banged up knee this year and an awful supporting cast, scoring wise, 24 points a game, 6.5 boards, 3 dimes, shot about 45%, which is pretty much, 44.5. He was 45 last year. 45 the year before, so it's pretty much in line. 34% from 3, which is a slight dip from the previous 2 years. So he did that in 40 games with seemingly a banged-up knee. Going forward, do we think it's going to be higher? Well, what are the numbers going to look like? Are they going to be about the same? Because if he's still doing 24 points a game, I feel like
I think they dip a little bit.
You think it dips from 24?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's probably in the low 20s.
Now, is that injury? Is that triangle offense? Is that maybe added new characters to the team? Or is it a combination?
I think it's a combination. I think I hope that he grows as a player and he learns that, I can't do it all myself and that I have to.
Well, I think we know pretty much Melo's DNA. We can't expect him to be a LeBron, or everybody wants to paint him in this brush of those top 5-tier guys. And like I said, he's at this point, like, he is in the fringe, like 10. Like, he's not in the upper class of the all-around playmakers in the game. But as far as being an explosive scorer, that's still what Melo is. He's still one of the best scorers in the game. He's going to get that done. But we can't expect him to be like a guy who's going to give you 6
But he's getting paid like that. Here's the thing,
That's
though.
the problem. Hey, that's the problem.
Here's
problem.
the thing. He's not a leader type. So LeBron is a leader type. You have to wonder, like, all these players are going on and playing well with LeBron. Why are they not playing well with Carmelo?
Well, I know Mighty has the...
But
the philosophy.
here's the thing.
I'll set you up for this one. Tyson Chandler is a perfect example.
But they did.
He's getting roasted for that trade, right?
Yeah. Phil's getting roasted for the trade.
But this guy was a malcontent that was hurt in the second half of the year.
He was throwing guys under the bus. He was throwing Woodson under the bus. He was complaining every 5 minutes. He was also hurt, especially in the playoffs. He was always hurt or sick or something always came up.
Or getting rocked by Hibbert.
Or getting destroyed by Roy Hibbert, who now doesn't even belong on the court, and the Pacers are just dying that he gives up his player option. He was getting killed by him in the playoffs. But some of the other guys...
Pre-Paul George.
Pre the explosion of Paul George, the ascension of Paul George. But some of the other guys that you mentioned, why aren't they playing? They did. JR at one point did play great with Melo. He had the best year of his career. He put up 18 points a game. Shumpert, I feel like, I don't know if we ever really got to see because he was really nice his rookie year, then he tore his ACL in the playoffs. He kind of had some trouble coming back. And then this year it was always kind of a slow start. The offense isn't there. The offense was never there. The defense wasn't really there. The team started off terribly. So
that's what I had read too recently. Shumpert had actually said that, how he's like, he never knew what his role was really with New York.
Yeah.
He always felt like it was up and down. Like he never felt there was a moment of consistency for him as a player. Whereas now he said everything is so crystal clear. And obviously you can say a lot that you can owe that to being around LeBron James and being around great players too, like Kyrie Irving. But he's just saying, like, the coaching staff and LeBron or whoever, is running that team, they tell him, play your D, get open, hit that open shot. That's it. They tell him to do no more, no less.
And they're both defending too.
Here's two things to that point. One, Shump played under 3 different head coaches in a short time, in a short career. D'Antoni, Woodson, and then Fisher. But 2, he was, I think, viewed as someone that needs to take the next step to help this team get to where they want to be. So I think that's how he was viewed of originally. And then it kind of came from, we need him to be that one of those guys, one of our best players. And then some nights we need him to be a role player. Some nights we need him to step up like he did in the 3-game swing in Texas a couple of years ago. So to that point, I don't think he ever really knew his role because of that. But also, he also talked about how the trade rumors also bothered him. Like, he never knew if he was staying or going. So you can even tell that messed up his time in his game at points where he may not have been completely focused because he's sitting there playing probably thinking, I might get traded tomorrow morning. I don't want to take away the value of LeBron, obviously, either, but I think some of those things certainly played a factor into Shumpert and the way he's performing now as opposed to his time in New York.
So to finish up the review portion of this, you have no problem with the value that Phil Jackson got in both the Chandler trade and the Shumpert.
Well, the Shumpert
and JR.
The Shumpert JR trade, I'm okay with completely. No one in the league really wanted JR. All you talked about was the fact that JR is on for another year, and the Knicks are going to have $6 million plus eaten up into their contract. So they had to give up Shumpert just to have someone to take JR. So I'm okay with that one. The Chandler trade, it's much easier in hindsight to see that it wasn't a good trade. At the time, I didn't mind it. Partly because of what we talked about. The guy was throwing everybody under the bus. He didn't want to be here, so on and so forth. And also, they got back Calderon, who I think we expected to be better, but he wasn't. I think that's a big fact. That's a huge reason why this trade didn't look so good.
And I think also, at the time of those deals, everybody wanted Phil to make changes, and everybody wanted changes. So to have the status quo sounds ridiculous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody wanted Phil Jackson to come here, right the ship, get rid of the perceived malcontents, get rid of the people who are allegedly bringing this Knicks ship down, and like, hey, Master Phil, Zen like this whole situation for us. Boom, get rid of these guys who are not performing. And no matter what they had done for the past couple years, their highs or lows, even if people love them, people love JR in this city. You know, they wanted JR. They wanted Shaw, man. They love both of those guys. But I think everybody was okay with losing those guys because they're looking at what could happen, like we're saying now, in this summer, free agency or the draft. They were looking forward to the bigger picture. And unfortunately for Knicks fans, they have to just see it in the finals and see LeBron James making their castaways look like heroes right now.
So now we're going to put ourselves in Phil Jackson's shoes and try to decide what we're going to do. We have 3 scenarios that we could have here. We can either keep the 4 pick,
Mm-hmm.
we can either trade down and get an asset and maybe another pick, or we could. This is not a high probability of happening, but trading Melo for the 2. That's the dream scenario.
Well, that's Squid's dream scenario.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He's just.
But I want your assessment of that. Would you trade Carmelo Anthony for the number 2?
Well, for one,
And blow this up and start over.
for one, I would want more than just a second pick if I'm the Knicks. I would still ask for more, whether it's another first round pick or so, whether it's a decent asset on the team that you can plug in as a role player. Maybe it's a Jordan Clarkson that you know what I mean? A nice player. Like, I would still ask for more than just a 2 pick. Would I do it? I would strongly consider it. I really might. You know, the other thing that isn't great is the fact that they don't have a first round pick next season, thanks to the Andrea Bargnani trade. But so that would be one thing in the back of your mind. Like, if you traded Melo, then it's a complete knockdown rebuild. You're probably going to be bad again, and then you're not even going to have your own pick to benefit from it. So that's a downside of it. But in the grand scheme, you have the second pick, you have the 4th pick. Say you have another asset from LA, whoever it is, or maybe a future pick. And, you know, I don't know who you take. Let's say, for argument's sake, it's D'Angelo Russell at 2.
That's your dream. That's your dream.
And maybe even go, since you're in a complete rebuild mode, maybe you go Chris Porzingis at 4. Something like that. Now you're also going to have a ton of money.
A ton of
cap.
It's not a crazy scenario.
It's not. You may not be able to sign a guy. You may not be able to attract a big guy this year, but you'll probably be able to plug in. You can get a couple of nice role players, and you're still going to have a ton of money left over. You can get like a DeMar Carroll, another good player like a Wes Matthews, and then next season, when everyone in the world is opting out to get more money, you're going to have a young core, a nice, really good young core. And then you tell one of these big guns, hey, listen, we've got a ton of cap space. We can bring you and another player. Because the other 4 guys in this starting lineup are making a combined maybe $20 million at this point. That's not going to happen, though. Like, you know, we just...
It's a dream scenario.
It's a dream scenario, but
Well,
that's
let's
not going
talk
to
about
happen.
the more realistic part.
Right. That's the Squid dream scenario. But I know people, I've talked to a lot of people and they think I'm crazy, but I go, is it really crazy to really trade down? I think that if there's a guy they don't really value at that 4 and really love that much, why not get 2 lower lottery? I don't know where.
So,
that
like,
second
trade
pick will
down.
fall. Right. Let's say you get a 9 and a 13.
And
I don't know who else.
Well,
I don't know
what about
scenarios are.
Lawson and trading down?
That's pretty good in my mind.
It's intriguing.
That's pretty good.
It's definitely intriguing. I've always loved Lawson's talent.
I know
you and I, we loved it. But he's injury prone.
He is.
You know, now he's getting an injury prone title. His contract is going to be coming up soon.
Right.
So, you know, what if he comes here, he's banged up, he plays 50 games, he plays nice but not great, and then he wants $20 million. You know what I mean? Like, then
you're in another Melo situation.
Yeah, but
right.
without a Melo. You know what I mean? But not a Melo caliber
guy.
player. Yeah.
Right.
So I'd like Lawson. I would. He's a nice player, but that's a part that worries me.
I think what worries me too, not in that case, but let's say at 4, right? You're hearing all these rumors about, you know, with that kid Lyles or whatever.
Trey Lyles,
Lyles,
Kentucky.
like reaching for guys like Lyles, who supposedly is supposed to be 20th. And the Knicks are talking about 4.
So
That's
seen
absurd.
that.
That's absurd.
I've seen that too, but some mock drafts I've seen, he's been in the top 10 though a lot.
Yeah, very. Or
I've
Cauley-Stein,
mostly-
who
yeah.
everybody's obsessed with, but who falls in that 6 to 10. And so you're talking about guys that, hey, listen, we're not going to put anything past Phil, but these are guys he's enamored with, reportedly, and they're below the expected.
But you can't reach
position.
and take them there.
Right. That's why I think if you like a guy, though,
Then
trade down.
I
If
agree
you
with
like
you.
a Lyles or you like a Cauley-Stein, trade down, get him at 8 or 9, and then you don't look too crazy. Maybe you get a late first round or 2 on top, or so, and then it's right now this team needs talent, so that's why everybody says it'd be a horrible PR move. They can't do it. They already like have to get over the shock of not having a top 2 pick. So this would just obviously kill a lot of people in terms of like, God, we're gonna keep trading that, like we're gonna keep losing assets. But to me, this team has no talent, so they need talent. They need people. They need players.
They need parts, definitely, for
So
sure.
and if you can, and this draft, and me and Mighty have looked at this draft for a couple months now, and I really like a lot of the guys in this draft. So if you can have multiple picks in this draft, you're setting yourself up. Not saying you're going to change your fortune overnight, but you can build your roster for the next couple of years through this draft.
The guy I don't want, and I've said this countless times
Go ahead,
before, is Okafor. Which I don't think he'll fall to 4, but even if he did, I don't want him.
Surprisingly.
So in other words,
I don't want him.
He hates Okafor.
he falls to 4. You're not taking.
Don't
Who are
want
you
him.
taking?
In that scenario, I would gladly take a trade back because you're going to get more value for that if Okafor falls to 4 than you would if, a Winslow or a Moutier is sitting there at 4. Which I like both of those guys a lot. So, I'd be okay sitting there and taking a Moutier or Winslow, or I don't mind taking.
You don't think you get good value of Okafor at 4?
Drafting, I don't want him. I do not want him.
He's just not a fan.
Not a big fan.
I think that's
not a big fan. And also, we see the way this game is changing. We see the way the league is changing. Yeah, would he be a rarity for a post-up style big man, great inside moves? Yeah, you don't have a lot today. But you know what? Sometimes that doesn't help you on the court. Sometimes that's actually killing you when you're going up against the Warriors and Draymond Green is playing the 5 and he's 25 feet from the basket sinking threes. And you can't keep up with him.
Right, that's true.
You can't, and it's
transparency out here. I'm obviously a Laker guy, and I want Towns.
Absolutely. But he's a different animal.
Right.
I would take Towns in a heartbeat.
I know you love Towns, yeah. But the thing is, I'm not as down on Okafor as you are. Like, I think I'd be fine with having a nice young big. I think you work around it. Like, if you have, like, size is something you just can't find. And even though it is a guard's game, you know what? If that guy in the middle is as productive or becomes the guy you think he's going to become, that's something 90% of the teams don't have. So I'd rather have that than not have it at all. Versus a guard where you can get guards later anytime.
For sure. It's harder to find a good big.
Harder.
I don't think we're going to see the scenario where Okafor's there for.
No, I agree.
Never.
I don't really think so either.
We're going to see Moutier, most likely.
Which I wouldn't mind. I like Moutier. I like Moutier. I like Russell. I like Winslow. And I even like Porzingis a little bit, just based on what you read. We don't really see him or hear about him as much as we do as the other guys. But I'm a big fan of Moutier. I'll take him. If he's sitting there at 4 and the Knicks come away with Moutier on draft night, I'm completely fine with that.
And you see a Wall as a valid comparison for Moutier.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty decent comparison. Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair, solid. You hope he becomes as good as John Wall, obviously. But just seeing his style of play, I think that's a pretty good comparison. He may even be a smarter player. Wall is probably just more gifted, but Moutier may be a smarter player on the court, and maybe in that sense could even be more productive at times than a player of John Wall's style. But I'd be completely fine if the Knicks walked away with Moutier at 4.
And then where do you go in free agency? If you start to look at the list. If you have a list and you start, who's at the top of your list? Gasol obviously is at the top of your list, but he's made it clear that he's not leaving Memphis.
I don't think he's leaving.
Right? He's not leaving.
That's obvious.
Aldridge is the other guy. But I got to be honest, I like him a lot. I wouldn't even really want him. Because I feel like him and Melo are the exact same style, except one guy's 7 foot and the other 6'9".
Right.
So it's almost like they're going to be in the same spots on the floor. So I'd really rather another kind of big. Listen, if the Knicks came away with Aldridge and they went into the year with Aldridge and Melo, would they be much better? Obviously. It's just it wouldn't be my first choice, to be perfectly honest.
And plus, from all we've heard, LA's looking to go back home to
Texas. There's talks about him going back to Texas. But here's one thing.
You want to make a dent here, though, right? In this first.
But let me ask you this.
Put yourself on the map.
But let me ask you this. Like a guy, and I say his name over and over again. I'm a fan of DeMario Carroll at the right price. I'm a fan of some of these guys like a Patrick Beverley at the right place. I think these are nice pieces to have because they're great role players.
What's the right price?
DeMarre Carroll, maybe $10 million per. Mostly because also the salary cap is going up,
so he's probably going to ask for a
round. So that $10 million, I think, is going to be fair value for him. Very good defensively, shoots, knocks down three, improved a lot offensively. Beverly, I think, a little bit less, maybe like the $7-8 million range, but arguably the best defensive guard in the league. Guys like that, I wouldn't mind at the right price. Greg Monroe, who can't, with him, because of his years in the league and whatnot, he can't make more than $15 million his first year. Well, that's not bad. I feel like that's not bad value for him because if he's $15 million locked in for 3-4 years, that could also be a bargain, and he's only, 25, 26 years old.
And I like Monroe.
Yeah, he's a skilled guy, especially
he's solid.
He fits the triangle offense a little bit.
He is
You're not going to be a lot better on defense,
in
though.
fact,
but
he is, right. What about Jimmy Butler?
I'd love him, but I don't. Guys like him and Kawhi, I don't even factor in.
The only reason
I
I throw it out now is just because of the Hoiberg situation, and like that makes it a little bit interesting. Not saying he won't re-sign, but I'm just saying a little bit, just a little bit.
But the thing with that is, even if he accepted a max offer from the Knicks, he's restricted, so the Bulls can just match it and keep him anyway.
Right.
So that's like Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard. I'd love them, no question. But I don't even factor it in.
We've seen stranger things happen. I mean, we saw Lance. Nobody thought Lance would end up leaving the Pacers situation. Who knows?
But he was unrestricted. That's the difference.
Right.
If Butler was unrestricted, then we'd be talking, I think, more about that scenario.
Right.
But here's the other equation that I want to bring up for both of you guys. Because next season, everyone just about who hasn't opted out in their contract is going to opt out to get the bigger deal.
Right.
Yep.
Do you then, you still? I feel like you still need to bring in a couple of guys because you can't return with the same horrendous roster you had last year.
Right.
But do you just kind of spend a little bit, get a couple of guys, maybe spend a total of $15 million, $20 million, and you had $30 million on the cap. You still kind of save yourself about $10 million, and then you go into next season when the cap jumps up $22 million. And still save that good cap space
to make it enticing for a guy to come here.
To bring a big guy next year. I mean, do you do that instead?
Well, I think I do that.
Well, that's a pragmatic approach. It's a smart approach, but will it sell when the Knicks fans are begging for wins right now? Like, how patient are they going to really be now? I mean,
yeah, but you know what? Who cares?
I know.
You know what I mean?
I know.
That's
but
how you have
selling
to,
out the building. I mean,
that's how you have to approach it, though, from a front office standpoint, right? You can't sit there and worry about what the fans or what some fool like Raceman's going to write in the newspaper.
Right.
You can't worry.
That's why I said. That's why
you have to GM your team.
That's why with the draft I said trade down, and people think. But every Knicks fan I've talked to, like, no, you can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. I mean, so
I wouldn't mind it, depending on what else you get, though.
Right.
That's the problem.
Hey.
I mean, but I also like some of these guys that are going to be there at 4, probably more than some other people. Right. Which is why I wouldn't mind if they stayed at 4 as well. But, I mean, is that the better way to go, though? Save your money. Like I said, you should still sign a guy or two because you need some help. Like, you can't just go in with Moutier, just argument's sake, Moutier, Melo, majority of the same roster, and then go into next season. You can't do that.
So you're giving me a scenario of Carroll and Beverly as, like, the two guys?
Carroll, Beverly, your draft pick, and a lot more money going into next season.
I think you do that. And I think you go hard in 2 years and get someone big there.
Yeah.
But you'd have to entice those guys because a Beverly and a Carroll are really valued now when in a league that doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
And in this day and age where it's a guards league,
definitely. And Phil's looking for a defensive point guard
of
too.
Those guys
big
is
time.
Immense. And for them, listen, Carroll's obviously in a situation in Atlanta that's in flux, so you could kind of see him kind of moving away from that. I know Beverly is the type of guy that really loves Houston. And, that team kind of runs on his engine secretly. Not saying I couldn't imagine him leaving. I'm just saying Carroll looks more like a problem. I don't know if you get them both. I just don't think you get them both.
Yeah, you might not. And actually, I think Beverly's also a restricted free agent, but
I believe so.
That's also dependent on whether or not Houston feels it's worth, which I think they should.
Yeah, he's restricted.
Worth to match him and try to bring him back because I think they definitely need him. But Carroll, you've already heard some of the talk, him saying he's interested in playing for New York. He used to train with Derek Fisher back when they were both playing.
That's true.
That's a key point. And him being unrestricted, I feel like there's a pretty good chance. But I always stress this. The price has to be right. I like Carroll as much as the next guy.
But you
You
cannot
don't want to
overpay
pay him
for
I,
him.
15
yeah,
mil.
I can't give this guy $13-14 million
No.
a year to come
play
to
defense.
Yeah, you can't do that. That just can't happen.
In
that's
New
the
York.
big thing, right?
To play
I mean, when
defense in New York.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
When the Knicks are struggling to get a guy, they're going to try to overpay to
Right.
bring a guy
Right.
in, and that's what they got to stay away from doing. They have to do that.
One of the things that Phil said a few months ago was not that they're going to be shopping at the dollar store this free agency period, but they plan on looking for good buys. So that part of that makes me feel okay.
Yeah, I like
Or
that.
at least you hope, But that makes you feel a little bit better because Phil's a smart guy. People can say whatever the heck they want. He's obviously a smart guy. The guy's one of the greatest basketball minds in the history of the game. So, is he going to sit there and be okay with giving DeMar Carroll $15 million a year? It's hard for me to believe that he would. I'm cautiously optimistic going into the offseason.
Is a Moutier and a Melo. Pretty much, that was the only guys you can pretty much name that are guaranteed to be there.
Yeah,
if it is a
basically.
Moutier,
Yeah.
whoever the
But
fourth
I know
pick
what you're
is,
saying.
whoever the fourth pick is, and Melo, is that enough to swing anybody?
Yeah, you're right, because you're looking at, a 30-win team?
Or at least the guy has to be willing, whoever comes has to be willing to eat a 30-win season before
Exactly.
they take an attempt at it. And then, I don't know how Carroll is. I think he's closer to 30. I think Beverly's a little bit on the younger side as well, I think.
Yes.
But it might be win now, for a guy like Carroll who's like, seven, how many years in the league? I think he's like 6 or 7, mighty. For a guy who just came off a 60-win season, so it's gonna be a tough.
You're right about that.
And I know he wants. Yeah, they all want to get paid, but I think these days, not saying like people are changing their stripes or anything, but people want to win. I mean, I think the ante's kind of getting raised over the years now, and people, I think, underestimate the value of being on a winning product, like a lot more now, and
So, just kind of
To sum up,
to sum it all up, if the Knicks come away with Moutier, Carroll, Beverly, how do we feel about
40 wins.
no way.
No way.
40 wins. No
probably
way.
30.
30. I'm thinking
Yeah,
30.
I think 30.
With Wade, 40 wins.
No.
It's not with the Wade.
Yeah.
Now, okay.
Okay, go
What
ahead,
if
go
it's Moutier, Carroll, Beverly, Monroe?
That's that team.
That's a pretty good team.
Sneaky.
It's a pretty good team.
Sneaky.
How many? Like 43, maybe, something like that.
I was going to guess like 40, low 40s. I'll
Low
give you
40 sneaky in the East. Sneaky.
Yeah,
In the
it is
East,
sneaky in the East.
With Monroe. If Monroe is Monroe, like the guy who actually came back to life last year.
Yeah, he played palm.
Are you confident we see a conference final in the Carmelo Anthony contract?
Well, no. I mean, there's 2 years ago, yeah, but right now he's coming off a major knee surgery. They just had the worst year in franchise history. I mean, and you don't have a first round pick next season,
The odds are stacked, yeah.
there's really not much of a reason to feel comfortable about that. I do feel pretty comfortable that Phil is going to turn it around. I really do believe that. You can say what you want. He's never been a GM or any of that stuff. Yeah, great. I understand that. But the guy coached 11 titles. I think he knows a thing or two about forming
Give the guy
talent.
a chance, seriously.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean,
and everybody wants to compare to Riley, but it took Riley like a good 15, 20 years to get Miami right on the GM side. I mean, he was coach. He had to hop back and forth a little bit, but to get him to get it right, and then he was able to.
It took him a lot of time.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of success, just didn't have titles.
Right.
But and we won't see a title in Phil's 5-year run. I would be stunned if we did.
Right.
But I think he's going to put this team in a great spot going forward, and I'm fine with that. I'm comfortable with that because we just went through an entire decade where they were over the cap, they were winning 30 games, they had no draft picks, so you couldn't get any worse than what it was. So I'm comfortable with what Phil's going to do going forward.
And that is a wrap for our assessment of the Knicks off season. And we'll catch you next time on the Six Fouls Podcast.